How to use the Oklahoma Christian University Blackboard test generator to create a test. So this website that I've gotten to, and I'll put this in the description, I'm just going to bookmark it so I can get to it later. I'm using Chrome, and I'm going to grab the padlock icon, and I'm going to put it with my other bookmarks so I can use it. And so this is my test. I'm going to call it test 1. And here are my test questions. I just have 3. I have a multiple choice test, a question, I have a true-false question, and I have an essay question. So I'm going to copy all my questions. And by the way, it's easy to make this. In fact, it's easier to type it to compose it in Word and convert it. So if I just want to add another question, I should hit Enter, and then I'll say question, and then when I hit Enter again, I can indent it. Oops. Now I don't need to put stars at the end of these yet. It's actually stars are supposed to go at the beginning, and you cannot type them at the beginning in Microsoft Word. So it's in the next step that I do it. So after I type all my questions, I select it and copy it, Control C on a PC or Command C on a Mac, or you also could choose this copy, and then paste it in here. Now this box does not have a scroll bar. I don't need it for my 3 questions, but if you're pasting in 100 questions, you, especially if you have empty spaces at the end, you won't see anything because this will be at the end. So what to do, you can either use the arrow keys on your keyboard to scroll up, or what I like to do is hit Generate Test Questions. It's going to have pink because of areas that are wrong. And in this case, this first question, it has 2 paragraphs in it. It has kind of an explanatory paragraph, maybe like a case study, and then the question itself. And the Blackboard test generator requires that it has only 1 paragraph. And so otherwise it's going to break it apart. So either before or after, if I wanted to do it before, I would have to delete the space between there and bring it in. If it's afterwards, I would have to copy this question. I'm going to cut it out of here, and I'm going to paste it here. And I made it all 1 paragraph. And then I'd have to put in the asterisk to say which one is right. These 2, they didn't think that they think they're the same question because there's no paragraph break. So either I could do that before if I can't just hit enter because that will just give an E. And I just can't hit enter here because it'll think it's another question. But what I can do is I can hold down the shift key and hit enter. That puts a line break. What that looks like is this. But that is enough that it will work. I'll show you in a minute. So that's the way to prepare it. But if I wanted to do it now, I would just put a space between these. And then when I hit enter, generate test questions, it'll make them each into a question. So the green ones are good to go. But this one, that's not how a true-false question looks. If you want to know how a true-false question would look, you can always choose this kind of sample question creator up top. So if I say, what does a true-false question look like, and hit OK, it produces it at the end. And here it is. I'm just going to go generate test questions so that it's all, everyone gets its own question. And the way that I do it is I have a number, a dot, a space, a question, and then on the next line it says either the word true or the word false. In this case, it's false unless you're living in 1984. So I'm going to say false. And then I'm going to get rid of this question. That was just for a sample. And for this one down here, I need to say which one is the right answer. Now, I'd like to open up another one of these to show you that I could have done this right from the beginning. If I had formatted them with the right spaces, and with this one, I could just say false. I can't get rid of the A really, so yet, but I can now select everything, and Control A or Command A selects everything, and then Control C or Command C on a Mac copies everything. And now when I paste it, and I should put the name of the test here, and I hit generate test questions, it is identify them each as a test. And the advantage of identifying them is now it's not in a non-scrollable box. This whole page will scroll, and if I had 100 questions, I could scroll down to the last one. Now I can put in my asterisks, and an easy way that I do this is I copy and then I paste, and this one I just get rid of it, and this one I paste here. And then now when I go generate test questions, it's all green. I can tell that it worked. It's all green. And the same with my one here. If I hit generate test questions, it's all green. So now I've parsed it properly, and I'm ready to download it. And then this tutorial, we're going to be using this question, download test questions. And so I'm going to click on that, and it's downloaded a text file just to show you what it looks like. You don't need to open it, but I just want to show you. It puts it in the format that Blackboard is expecting. It's saying that it's multiple choice, and here's the multiple choice question, a true false, an essay question, another multiple choice question. Anyways, now I'm going to go back to Blackboard. And in Blackboard, I want to create a test, and it's not going to be available yet. It's for next week. And I don't have a button yet that I want to put this in. I want to make a tests button. You might have one already, but I don't. So I'm going to make one. I'm going to hit plus and then choose content area and call it tests. I'm going to make it available to users, even though the test itself is not going to be available to users. The test button is. At first it creates it at the bottom, and I can hardly see it because it's green text. But if I click on it, that'll fix it so that now I can see it. It has a little gray box, meaning that there's nothing in it yet, but that's about to change. I'm going to go to Assessments, and I'm going to choose Test, and I'm going to create a test. I'm going to call it Test 1. I can write a description, and description is what they can see before the test. Instructions can they see while they're taking the test. Usually they're left blank. I'm going to leave mine blank, and hit Submit. And then Upload Questions is what I use to upload the questions that I've downloaded. I hit Browse. They went to my downloads, and here it is. And they suggest 10 points per question. I actually prefer 1 point per question. I'm going to change that with one of them. My essay question actually has more points, but the rest of them are all 1. So I'm going to go 1, and it's brought them all in. Now this question, I actually wanted it to be 2 paragraphs, and now that I've brought it into Blackboard, I can modify it to make it 2 paragraphs. What I do is I mouse over it, click the down arrow, and edit it. And my question is right here. I also wanted to add an image to this question, and I cannot bring an image in through the generator, but I can add it here. And so I'm just going to get a woodchuck. And I should see if it's usage rights. I'll make it Creative Commons. And this one looks good. I have to do attribution, but I don't think I have to on a test. But just in case, I'm going to find one that I don't have to on a test. Okay, I found one. This one is free download, no attribution. So I'm just going to hit download. I'm actually going to get the smallest one. Download. And there it is. And so now back into Blackboard, I'm going to put the image right in here. And if you don't see all 3 rows of buttons, it just means that it's not expanded. Just click the chevron to expand it, and then click on this little insert image. And then I'm going to browse my computer for that image. And then it's still too big. And so in appearance, I can make it as big as I want. 500 is about the max that I'm going to do, and I'm actually going to do even smaller on this one. I'm going to do 250. The other one is constrained proportion, so the other one will change accordingly. Insert. Oh yeah, I should put in my image description and title. There it is. And then submit. Now, the next one is this essay question. It's a 3-point question, so I'm just going to change the points to 3 points. Submit. And then I'm done my test. I can go OK. It's now among the list of tests that I've created. I can click on it. I can hit submit, and I can make it available. I can say, yes, make it available to my students. If it's a practice quiz, I can allow unlimited attempts, but this one isn't. It's a real test. I can set the timer. I'm not going to do forced completion because if people get kicked out, they can't get back in again. An alternative is timer because the timer cannot be paused. There's no way to stop the timer to go to the bathroom or have dinner or something like that. You cannot. It keeps going. And I'm going to say this one is 15 minutes. And I'm going to put auto submit on, so even if they forget to hit submit, it submits automatically. I don't have to do it for them, and keeps everybody honest. And for my test, it's later on, and it's going to start at 1 p.m. and they could go. I'm going to give them up to 1:30, and the reason is because it has an image in it, and the image will not work after this time. And so I'm going to warn my students, because even though theoretically a student could start this test at 1:29 p.m. and still get their 15 minutes, 1 minute later at 1:30, the image of that nice woodchuck that I put in not be visible. This is a feature of Blackboard, and I need to warn my students ahead of time, just in case of that. If I had no images, I wouldn't have to do that. I could say, I only give you 10 minutes to start the test. After that, you're considered late and you don't get to take the test. That would work. But if students get kicked out, I'd have to get them back in again by adding an exception, which I have in my class. So let's say a student did get kicked out after 10 minutes, and it was this ADC test student 1. They phoned me. I believed them. I want to let them back in again. I'm hitting submit. And then I'm saying, okay, for you, the display until time is the same day, but instead of being 1:10, I'm going to make it 1:15. Just going to type in a 15 and save. And as soon as I hit submit, that student will be able to get in again. This is also how I add it if somebody has an accommodation. So if they have 30 minutes, and then I would, in that case, I would make it so that it would be longer. I would, because this is, I'm going to make this 1:30 because it has an image. I'm going to make this even longer for those students. I'm going to say 1:45 just in case they start a little late. And save. Then I don't recommend using a due date. It's when you don't have it timed. Also, due dates are not able to be different in an accommodation student. That's why I don't recommend them. Please don't touch this area. And then in the show test results, and if it's practice quizzes, I want them to see the results. This score per question is if they got it right or wrong and what the question text is. This one is what they said it was. This is the correct answer. This one is usually not necessary. It's other wrong answers that they did not pick anyways. You can do it if you wish. Feedback, if I've created feedback. Right now I haven't, but I might give feedback on the essay question. I might explain why I'm only giving 1 out of 3 points or whatever. This one is broken, it doesn't work. And I could do it immediately after submission. Or if this is a test that is worth marks and I don't want people to share the results with other people while they're still taking the test, I could say after specific date. And I'm going to say on the 23rd, and I know everybody will be finished by 3 p.m. So I could just set it that, and that would give me enough time to mark. Or I could say, no, I still need another day to mark. So I'll say, okay, fine, I'll do it the next day to give me time to grade it. And that's when it will be released. And then online tests are best to be one at a time. It makes it difficult for people to cheat. In fact, you could even go the extra step of making prohibiting backtracking. But usually, if they're randomized, so that people won't be at the same question at the same time. It'll be a random order. Then this will work. They'll be at a different question at a different time, and they probably won't want to go ahead or back to try to find a question that their cheating friend is on and asking what the answer is. And then hit submit. Now this one is it should be grayed out and say this test is not available. It will become available on February 23rd. But there's a bug that sometimes happens. In this case, it did happen, and it looks like it's available now, and it's a little bit concerning. I'll prove to you that it's not. If I go into a student preview mode and I click on the tests, it's not available, just as I suspected. And exit now. Sometimes this won't happen, and it will act properly, and it will be grayed out, and it will say that text. The reason it has this mistake is if there is even one accommodation student, you have a chance that this bug can happen to you. And that's how to make a test using the Blackboard test generator.